أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا. Refresh your minds and your sessions and your souls with the loud salawat for Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad. Nowadays, as I mentioned in the last session, the institution of family and the institution of marriage is going through rough times everywhere, in secular societies, in religious societies, in Islamic societies, in Christian societies, in developing countries, in industrial countries. Everywhere, wherever you turn to the east or the west, you find that the vast majority of those who are married, they have problems in their lives. As I mentioned last night, the rate of divorce is always increasing and skyrocketing in certain countries. What is the solution? Is there any solution for that? Are there any reasons for this crisis in the family? One of the friends told me today that most of the attendees are still single. So you are talking about marriage problems in a single community. But even if this is true, I know maybe the majority of you are still single. The minority of you are married and you have children. And some of you, like me, you have grandchildren too. Even if you are still single, you have to prepare for your future from now. You have to do your homework, to begin doing your homework for a stable life, stable marriage, productive marriage. وَالسَّعِيدُ مَنِ اتَّعَظَ بِغَيْرِهِ. The lucky person, the wise person is the one who looks around and he grasps lessons from others. He learns lessons from others. If there is a failure in this marriage or that marriage, someone in my family, let's say, in my neighborhood, in my community, among my friends, has experienced some failure in his marriage, then I have to learn from that so I can avoid it. You have to work hard years before you get married to learn how to stabilize your marriage and make it an institution of real happiness and peace and stability. I mentioned last night the main reason for us to get married. There are many reasons. But the main reason and the main goal is mentioned in the Quran. Surah Al-Rum. لِتَسْكُنُوا إِلَيْهَا. So in this troubled world around us, people are killing each other in several countries. People are taking advantage of each other's. Countries are threatening each other. We can find a shelter. At the end of the day, we can go home, find some rest, some hope, some peace, some happiness. a smile in the midst of this troubled world. But that, my friends, my dear brothers and sisters, that does not come from vacuum. This is not just luck falling upon us from the sky. Someone is very lucky, he got a very good wife, and the other was not very lucky. No, it's because of him and it's because of her. The journey towards a stable marriage and healthy marriage begins several years before you decide to get married. First of all, you have to learn. You have to look around you. Those families who are happy, why they are happy? Those families who are miserable. And these marriages that are falling apart, what's the reason for that? We have to learn. And last night, I touched upon a very sensitive and very important element of the success or the failure in any marriage. And I said, for us to make our marriages and our families and our homes prosperous and happy, and at least Islamic in the eyes of God. You know, the hadith says, when there is a marriage in any place, in any property, in any house, that is going to be the cause of happiness for God. And when there is a divorce, or a conflict, or a separation in any family or in any house, it is going to be the cause of unhappiness and sometimes anger. Sometimes anger for God Himself. ما بني بناء في الإسلام أحب إلى الله تعالى من التزويج. No institution, no foundation, no establishment, no building, no organization has been built on earth dearer, closer, more important in the eyes of God than the institution of marriage and family. That's the institution number one in the eyes of God. So He wants to see that institution happy and productive and healthy. Yesterday I spoke about the role of the husband and the role of the wife. Some people get married, but they are confused or unaware or ignorant about their role in the family. A man gets married, he doesn't know what are his responsibilities, what his responsibilities are. The wife gets married and she doesn't know what is her duty. And then after a few weeks, when the happiness, when the honeymoon, when the parties, when the wedding subsides after a few days, you start seeing the problems. They start emerging in the family. The conflict begins because of the misunderstanding, because they were not prepared, because they were not aware of their role and their duties. And I mentioned that every father and every husband has two major roles. The moral, being the guide, being the flagship for his family. The moral protection. Second is the material protection, the money, the financial help, the financial support. But before the money comes, the moral guide, spiritual guide. Your father has to be the closest person to you. Your father has to be the closest friend to you. You as a son, as a daughter. The same thing with your mother. Before you go, when you have a problem in your life, before you go to someone outside your family, you have to go to your father. If you maintain this relationship with your father, then this marriage is successful. Your father is a good father and you are a good son too. The same thing with your mother. If you as a female, whenever an issue comes up, before you go and complain to anyone or to share it with anyone outside the family, you go to your mother. Your friendship to your mother, with your mother, enables you to go and share with her your suffering, your pain, your anxieties. then this is a good mother and you are a good daughter. Before we go to someone outside, God created for us, provided for us people inside to provide us with counseling, with comfort, with assurances, and those are our parents. The same thing with the mother. I mentioned the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. When some good and noble wives and mothers during his time, they saw him calling upon men to go to jihad, to defend Islam against the enemies. They came to him, they said, Ya Rasulullah, you are speaking about jihad, giving their soul in the way of God, the reward that they are going to receive, and we feel we are left out. We have no share, no portion of this reward. The Prophet said to them, are you eager to receive the reward from God? Do you want to get the same reward and even better than that? Better than your counterparts, the men? They said, Bala ya Rasulullah, indeed. فقال صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم, 3 words, very important. جهاد المرأة حسن التبعل. If you are a dutiful wife at home, if you are a caring mother at home, if you are a responsible mother at home, and you take care of your family, you strengthen your family, you produce such wonderful men and women, sons and daughters, who can find their way in this life, who can stand on their feet, and they can brave the challenges that surrounds them, who can move forward, who can produce and be good elements in their societies and their communities, who could be good citizens in their land, in their countries, then you are doing excellent job. You are satisfying God. You are earning His reward and His thawab. You have to keep the family strong from inside. Your role and your job as a good mother, as a good wife, loyal wife, is not less than that man who carries his gun or his sword and he travels to the battlefield to expose himself to the danger to defend his country and his community. That person is mujahid, and you are also at home. This is a different front, different dimension. Jihadul mar'ati husnul taba'ul. And then we go to other elements of successful marriage, my friends. I'd like to share certain things with you. I have not read them in a book, neither an article in a newspaper or magazine, neither a movie, nor a documentary. This is from my own experience for the last 30 years of my own marriage. I'd like to share it with you. How to strengthen your marriage, how to keep your family, your wife, your children, even your grandchildren, even your brothers and sisters, the extended family, keep them strong and inspired. These are the following steps. Some of the steps that has to be taken, my friends, by you and you, by the brothers, by the sisters, those of you who are married and those who are single. I have another word with you at the end of this session tonight, inshallah. But you have to be prepared for that. Another element, another recipe of a successful marriage, a stable marriage in Islam, is to foster friendship in the family. The man and the woman in the family are not just a husband and wife. There is something more than being a husband and a wife, and that is being a friend and being a true friends. The marriage is not only a physical relationship. Many people look at marriage, they perceive it as being a means for physical gratification, period. No more than that. And this is wrong. This is misconception about marriage. The marriage, you don't have only physical convergence. You must have also spiritual and mental and emotional convergence between the husband and the wife. And this is mentioned in the Quran. هُنَّ لِبَاسٌ لَكُمْ وَأَنْتُمْ لِبَاسٌ لَهُنْ. Both of you are garments for each other. The garment that beautifies, brings attraction, beauty, warmth, protection, elegance. هُنَّ لِبَاسٌ لَكُمْ وَأَنْتُمْ لِبَاسٌ لَهُنْ. Each one should protect the other, defend the other, beautify the other, take care of the other. So it is a spiritual. You know what the survey says the other day? I read a survey, a study actually. They say they made a survey examining men and women who are sick. And they found out that if the husband touches his wife, not a touch with lust, not a sexual one, just a normal touch. He puts his palm, his hand on her hand while she's sick. This brief touch is going to expedite the process of healing. She is going to get healed faster. They found that in a study, on a survey or many couples in America. And this is exactly what the Quran says. هُنَّ لِبَاسٌ لَكُمْ وَأَنْتُمْ لِبَاسٌ لَهُنْ. You are a protection for each other, healing for each other. يَا أَيُّهَا النَّاسُ اتَّقُوا رَبَّكُمُ الَّذِي خَلَقَكُم مِّن نَفْسٍ وَاحِدَةٍ. من نفس واحدة, the same soul. Both souls are getting together, being mixed with each other, blended with each other, and then are being put in two different bodies. But the soul is the same. من نفس واحدة. وَخَلَقَ مِنْهَا زَوْجَهَا. From the same soul, from the same substance, not something else, created its own mate from it. So they have to converge together. In a marriage where the husband considers the house just as bed and breakfast, he thinks that he has to go home at the end of the day exhausted and tired, and the food is ready, and the bed is ready, and his dress is ready, and his shoes is cleaned, and that's it. No more responsibilities, no more contributions. That marriage is apt to collapse one day, because there is no spiritual convergence. There is no spiritual harmony. And when a friendship is missing, if you cannot form a friendship with your husband or with your wife, then that marriage is going to experience a lot of loss, a lot of danger. Harmony is going to be missing. When you cannot forge or foster true friendship with your partner at home, you're going to seek it outside the home. And then here we have the issue of betrayal, infidelity. And we read about these stories almost every day. Because they could not form the friendship inside the house between them. And each person today, male or female, young or adult or old, they yearn for a true friendship. You need in your life, you need someone that you can depend on him, you can trust him, you can confide in him, you can share with him. So if that person is not your partner at home, then you start seeking him outside the house. And then you're going to inflict more damage on yourself and your family. هُنَّ لِبَاسٌ لَكُمْ وَأَنْتُمْ لِبَاسٌ لَهُنْ. And a friendship does not come easy, my friends. You have to struggle for it. You have to work hard in order for you to achieve it. You have to work very hard. Step by step and a brick by a brick, you build the friendship. And one of the most important ingredients of a friendship is the mutual trust. If you can build up this trust between you and your spouse? You trust each other. Then you're going to build new friendship, strong friendship. But if there is no trust, if marriage is based on suspicion, he suspects about her and she suspects about him. He does not believe in her and she does not believe in everything he says. Whatever he says, she does not believe. Then trust is missing. And trust is not easy to achieve. It's not easy. You have to work hard. You have to go through tests. You have to go through ups and downs in order for you to build this trust. The trust is not built overnight. It takes sometimes years to build up this trust, mutual trust. And then if that trust is lost, then in most cases it's going to be lost forever. So try to do everything. Now, if you are in a marriage now, listen to me. If you are in a marriage and you trust each other, be careful to maintain it. Don't take it for granted. Because any minute, any hour, people who trusted each other for 20 years, after that, with one small incident, one small unfortunate incident, either by her or by him, this mutual trust collapsed. The trust that has been going on for 20 years collapsed. And it is very hard to recover it, to bring it back. So one of them, a mutual trust. Nothing in this life, my friends, is more enjoyable and more beautiful than having someone next to you in this life. Than sharing your life with someone that you can trust. You don't worry about her at all. She does not worry about you at all. You feel at peace with each other. You feel at peace. When you live with her, you enjoy the taste of peace. You are not worried. And this is exactly the purpose of marriage. The purpose of marriage is not for my wife to cook good food for me, because maybe I can find good food somewhere else. Zaytun is here and whatever the other one. Behisht is there and there is good food. You can eat outside. It's not for someone to prepare my dress for me. I can take it to the laundry outside. It's for someone to provide me with emotional security. Emotional security. Psychological security. When I am worried, when I have fear in my heart, I can seek shelter in that person. That person speaks to me. That person gives me assurance, so I know I am fine, I am good. This is the marriage. هن لباس لكم وأنتم لباس لهن. You give them assurances and a protection and dispel their fears, and they do exactly the same with you. This is the successful marriage. ومن آياته أن خلق لكم من أنفسكم أزواجا لتأكلوا معها لتلعبوا معها. For what purpose? لتسكنوا إليها. To find happiness, stability, comfort, peace with them. Because you don't find it outside. You don't find it outside. And such a person has to be trustworthy. This is the first element. And the second element, the mutual respect. Oftentimes, some of us, the married couples, we believe that since she's my wife for the last 20, 30, 40 years, I can take her for granted. She cannot run away from my house. She is destined to serve me and serve my kids. There is no place for her to go. This is how, we become arrogant This is how the crisis starts, from little things. I know she cannot find a person better than me. I know she is obliged to stay with me and serve me. And she does the same. She does the same with him. I know he cannot find another wife, a more beautiful wife than me, a more committed wife than me. And then they start taking advantage of each other, disrespecting each other, sometimes saying harsh words to each other. And that would result in what? That would result in suspicion. Disrespect, when it is built, slowly, not from the first incident. People are not going to go to the court from the first conflict and the first fight. These things are accumulated slowly. And suddenly it becomes a huge bomb. And the consequences cannot be contained after that. When someone is close to me, this is an extra obligation on me to respect him or her more and more, because I don't want to lose them. You know, some people in the community, they are very good at making friends, but they are not good at maintaining that friendship. If you can maintain that friendship for a long period of time, then you are an excellent friend. If you just make friends and after 2 days or 2 weeks or 2 months or 2 years, you're going to dump them and go for others, you are not a good friend. You are not a loyal friend. We have to learn how to maintain this relationship, this friendship. And that is through mutual respect. I know, Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Some spouses, men or women, they do very good outside the house in terms of relationships, building trust, building respect with others. They are excellent. With her boss, she is very good. Her boss is okay with her. He endorses her, he accepts her. He wants her in his office. With her friends, she is superb, excellent. With her maybe extended family members, she is very good. With the strangers outside, she deals with them with respect. But when it comes to that poor man in the house, he is disrespected. She takes advantage of him. She takes him for granted because this is her husband. لا شفيع للمرأة أنجع لا شفيع للمرأة عند ربها أنجع من رضا زوجها. No intercessor is more powerful and more influential for a wife with her Lord than her own husband, her own husband at home. She is responsible before him. She has a responsibility. And the same thing with the wife. The same thing with the husband. The husband is responsible before his wife. I know many of people in the community. He does very well outside the house. His relationship with others, he's so humble. He's so caring. He's very thoughtful of others. But when it comes to his own wife, his own children, he forgets about them. He's not dutiful. He doesn't pay them attention. He's arrogant inside the house. My friends, our families are the first arena for us to exercise our humility and our patience and our tolerance and our forgiveness. If I can practice that first and foremost with my family at home, I would succeed in practicing it outside the home with others. If I fail doing that inside the house, outside the house is not going to help me. أكرمكم عن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم أكرمكم أكرمكم لأهله وأنا أكرمكم لأهلي or لأهله. The most kind of you, the most generous of you, the most dutiful of you is the one who is the closest to his own family first. Before you go to the outsiders, take care of your own family, take care of your own children. Take care of those who are dependent on you, your generosity, your attention, your love, your care. Then the Prophet says, and I am among you all Muslims. I am among you the most dutiful and the most generous to my own family. This is why God created the family for us. So I can practice my patience inside the house first, to those who are closest to me. So that was the second element, mutual trust followed by mutual respect. Then there is another element, and that is the mutual fairness, my friends. Fairness, insaf. The institution of family is based on mercy. وَجَعَلَ بَيْنَكُمْ, and He engendered مَوَدَّةً, He engendered among your hearts مَوَدَّةً, compassion and mercy. وَجَعَلَ بَيْنَكُمْ مَوَدَّةً وَرَحْمَةً. And you have to practice it inside the family. You have to take care of each other. You have to fear for each other. You have to be jealous for each other, yes? You have to defend each other. If your partner, be it a wife or a husband, he or she need anything, they have to come to you first. They should not go to the outsiders. They have to have the courage, the guts to come and ask you first. If they have some suffering, some pain. Why sometimes we find some wives, rather than going to her own husband who's with her, he shared the bed with her every single night. He spends 7, 8, 10 hours in bed with her. She does not tell him anything. He's the last person to know about the crisis and the suffering of his own wife. People outside, they know, but the man who sits next to her and lives next to her and sleeps next to her, he doesn't know anything. This is not fairness. You have to be fair. How do we become fair? When I put myself in her shoes, and I know her suffering and her demands, her anxiety, and I try to tend to that. أحبب لأخيك. This is the message of our religion. أحبب لأخيك ما تحبه لنفسك واكره له ما تكره لها لنفسك. We have to love. If we are to build a strong society based on fairness and justice, this is the road. My friends, do you know why we cannot implement democracy in Iraq and in our own countries? We fail in that because we could not implement democracy inside our homes and families first. Do you know why we live under dictatorship in the Middle East and the Muslim countries? Because inside our homes and families, we implement dictatorship and disrespect for each other. And the family is the first nucleus of the society. If the family is strong and good and powerful, the society is going to be powerful. If the family, if the home is dismantled, you cannot build a society from dismantled families and homes. Al-insaf al-mushtarak, fairness. Put yourself in her shoes. If she's tired, if she's unhappy, if she's worried, you have to take care of her. Insaf, fairness means do not overburden her. Do not over-expect from her. Do not insult her. Whether it is physical insult or emotional or psychological. We have to be very careful when we speak, especially to the nearest people to us. Sometimes with outsiders, I'm very diplomatic, very polite. But when it comes to those who are around me, I neglect them. This is wrong. I have to begin, the journey begins with those the closest to me. If I want to be truly polite, I have to practice that with those who are close to me. I have to watch for what I am saying. إن السمع والبصر والفؤاد كل أولئك كان عنه مسؤولا. I'm responsible. I'm responsible for my comments. I'm responsible for everything that gets out of my mouth. I'm responsible. The other element in the marriage, which is very essential, and unfortunately I see it missing from many families, and this is why they are heading towards collapse and divorce, is the element of forgiveness, my friends. Forgiveness. We have to be forgiving. In order for our marriages to be stable, to remain strong, we become loyal to each other. We have to forgive each other. If we are arrogant, if we expect the other side to keep apologizing to me, saying sorry to me, but I am not willing to accept that, or only he or she should say sorry to me, I should not say that, then that marriage is going to be in deep trouble. Forgiveness. We have to forgive each other. Why? Because we are not angels descending from the sky. We are human beings. And when we are human beings, it means that we are going to have faults and mistakes and errors and deficiencies. This is natural. We are not infallible. And therefore we are going to develop some conflicts inside the family. And we have to, sometimes we quarrel, we fight. And if we do not go back to each other, if the wife decides, I would never forgive him for what he did to me. He damaged me. He destroyed my life. Then she's going to be a loser. Or if the husband believes that she destroyed him and he's not going to forgive her, he is going to be the loser. And ultimately the family is going to lose. Fairness, my friends, and forgiveness in the family. I'm telling this to you out of experience. I did not read this in a book. I did not find them in a book. I found them from my own daily life when I counsel people around me. I discovered the reason for the collapse of this marriage because forgiveness were missing. Forgiveness, which brings peace, inner peace and harmony and reconciliation and understanding, is missing. And it is replaced by what? By hate, by grudge, by retaliation. Marriage in Islam is not based by retaliation, on forgiveness. If we decide to retaliate and hit back, then forget about getting married. Stay in your house as a single. You cannot get along with any person. And the last, but not the least, an element that has to be present and powerful in every marriage and every family. And that is the piety, taqwa Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If marriage is based on taqwa, لَمَسْجِدٌ أُسِّسَ عَلَى التَّقْوَى مِنْ أَوَّلِ يَوْمٍ. Foundation that is built, established upon the respect for God. Not just fear, respect. Being wary of God. Being aware of Him. Being dutiful to Him. لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ. That marriage is a very safe marriage. You don't worry about it. When that man came to Imam Hussain and he said, I have only one daughter. And she's so close to me. I love her so much. And it's hard for me to give her in marriage. So who do you suggest? Who should I give her to? The Imam said to him, زوجها ممن يتق الله تعالى. If you can find someone who really has the love and the fear and the reverence of God in his heart, true love for God, and a true reverence and true respect, then you don't have to worry about her. Give her to her husband and let them go home. Don't worry about her. Go and sleep in peace. فَإِنْ أَحَبَّهَا أَكْرَمَهَا. If he falls in love with her, he's going to cherish her and nurture her. He's going to honor her. وَإِنْ لَمْ يُحِبْهَا. Maybe for a reason they did not get well. لَمْ يَظْلِمْهَا. He's not going to abuse her. Why? Because before he sees you, before he sees the police and the court, he can see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. أَلَمْ يَعْلَمْ بِأَنَّ اللَّهَ يَرَى. أَلَمْ يَعْلَمْ بِأَنَّ اللَّهَ يَرَى. What really is going to keep us at bay from abusing others, incurring injustice on others, is the fear of Allah. I know that I'll be held accountable even if I can get away with it today in this life. I can get away with the police, with the court, with the lawyers. I can run away from it. But on that final day, I cannot. Because everything is documented. Everything is there. وَوَضِعَ الْكِتَابِ فَتَرَى الْمُجْرِمِينَ مُشْفِقِينَ مِمَّا فِيهِ. Their book, when it is opened on that day, the sinners are going to be very fearful of that. وَيَقُولُونَ يَا وَيْلَتَنَا. Woe to us. مَا لِهَذَا الْكِتَابِ لَا يُغَادِرُ صَغِيرَةً وَلَا كَبِيرَةً إِلَّا أَحْصَاهَا. What a book is this? That nothing big or small, but being documented there. إِلَّا أَحْصَاهَا. It is accounted there. وَوَجَدُوا مَا عَمِلُوا حَاضِرًا وَلَا يَظْلِمُ رَبُّكَ أَحَدًا. Can we get away from that court? Impossible. Yes, we can get away with this court here. I know in America they hire best attorneys. Even a murderer can be saved from death, from punishment. You pay a lot of money, but can you bribe that court? The final court? The divine court? Can we bribe it? Can we run away from it? وَوَجَدُوا مَا عَمِلُوا حَاضِرًا وَلَا يَظْلِمُ رَبُّكَ أَحَدًا. So be careful. اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة. Be careful. Be responsible. My friends, if you are married, listen to this. Your family is an amana given to you, a trust. You have to take care of it. And God is testing you in your family. If you are a wife, He's testing you with your husband and your kids. If you are a father, a husband, He's testing you with your sons and daughters and wife. And then working in the family and helping your family is a form of servitude to God. Ibadah. You are serving Him. Sometimes you want to earn some thawab through donations. You give money to an institution. You make some points. You earn some thawab, some reward. Sometimes through teaching. Sometimes through sacrificing. Sometimes through traveling here and there. Through guiding. Sheltering an orphan. Feeding a hungry. And sometimes you earn the thawab when you serve your own family. When you spend time with your own kids at home. When you sit and teach them something positive, something good. Give them some direction. Give them some encouragement, inspiration. I have seen many daughters who flee their homes, and when they come and we ask them, what's wrong? Your house is very beautiful, the mansion you live in, the comfort of your house, the food, the car that you have. She says, yes, this is true. But my father, I don't see my father. He doesn't talk to me. He doesn't spend time with us. My father is a surgeon, he's a doctor, he's busy 24 hours, making money. Making money for what? Making money and losing your children? Is this good? We make money to keep the family together. We don't make money to lose the family. Many people, they came to the West in order for them to make some economic, financial achievements, success. They did that. But on the other hand, they lost their children. I know many of them. I know a religious scholar in America, a religious scholar, I don't mention his name. He was an imam of a mosque in America. His son became a priest in a church in America. His own son, not a grandson, his own son. Don't be surprised. Why? Because that imam, he took care of the community, but he did not take care of his own children. He neglected his own children. And for those of you, and this is my final statement, who are still single, I see many of you here. And I believe in my next trip, I am going to see you married and probably with children. Inshallah ta'ala. This is very promising. You, my dear brothers and sisters, in order for you to plan for your marriage, in order for you to avoid the mistakes of your relatives and your friends, you have to consult. I know some of you fall in love with the opposite gender. And I know marriage is a private business. And I know you tell your parents, I want to live with her, not you. I want to spend the rest of my time with her, not you. It's all correct. But at the same time, you want to be independent, you want to be by yourself, very good. Then when you have a problem, don't go to your parents. When you have a conflict, when your wife throws you outside the house, don't go to your parents' house. Or when your husband kicks you outside, don't go to your parent. Don't go to them. You have to have consultation with your parents when it comes to marriage. Do not disregard them. Maybe your father is not a graduate of a prestigious university in Europe or America. Maybe your father is an illiterate. He does not read or write. But he has some wisdom. In the affairs of this life, in the family affairs, he has some experience. So you have to consult with them. You have to consult with your mother, even with some of your siblings. Consult with them. I'm not saying marry the one that your father loves or your mother cherishes or admires. No. Marry the one that you love, but with the consultation of wise people in your family. Don't do that by yourself. Especially for you sisters. Especially for you. If you want your husband to respect you, to honor you, to take care of you, you have to have the support of your own family, the backing of your own parents. But if that man finds out that your own family do not like you, your own family do not support you, you think he's going to take care of you? He's not going to take care of you. So think about this and keep it with you. Remember it at the time of marriage. At the time of marriage, remember to consult with your parents. Tell them what you think. Because marriage in Islam is not a union between two individuals. It's a union between two families. Maybe in the West here, it's a union between only two individuals. There is no third person. But in Islam, two families getting together. This is why we have in-laws. And we have to respect our in-laws. In order for your marriage to remain strong, you need the blessing of your entire family. So keep this in your mind. Ummul Baneen alayha salam. What a wonderful mother who produced wonderful children. Wonderful children. Last year I went to the Mormon church in Utah, Salt Lake City. And I asked one of their prophets, they call him prophets. They have certain hierarchies. And I said to him, what is the secret of you guys keeping your families together? You give an order to your son at the age of 17 and your son says to you, yes sir, he's born and raised in America in this culture, but he would never disobey you. What is the secret? He said, Imam, you know what's the secret of that? Secret is we raise them well. From the age of 2, we sit and talk to them and we teach them the Bible and we teach them how to respect their parents. We attend to them. We don't neglect them. So at the age of 17 and 18, they would listen to us. They have no place to go. No other person in their life. Ummul Baneen alayhi salam, how she was able to convince her 4 children to accompany their master and their leader, Imam Hussain. Because she raised them very well. She fed them very well. She gave them the spiritual food, the intellectual food, the mental food, the safe food that made them resilient, made them strong. They decided to join the ranks of their master, Abu Abdullah al-Hussain. On the eve of Ashura, Imam Hussain stands and he says, my companions, أصحابي هذا الليل قد غشيكم فاتخذوه جملا. Take advantage of the darkness of the night. I don't want you to be killed with me. إن القوم لا يطلبون أحدا سواي. I am the most wanted, not you. So why do you kill yourself? The very first person who stood and said, no, ya Abu Abdullah, the very first one was his brother Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas. He said, Sayyidi Abu Abdullah, my master, my leader, أنتركك ونذهب ونرحل إلى أين نرحل بعدك يا أبا عبد الله. This life is not worth it after you. We are not going to leave you. We are going to stay with you. We want to achieve salvation and success with you, Ya Abu Abdullah, in your company. And this is why on the eve of Ashura, few hours before the day of Ashura, on that eve, Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas was riding his horse and guarding the camp in the darkness. All of a sudden he noticed a ghost coming from the side of the camp. He said, Man hada? Who's standing there? An answer came to him, Akhi Abu al-Fadl, ana ukhtuka Zainab. I'm your sister. Don't worry. He said to her, Ukhtah, Zainab, ما الذي أخرجك في هذا الوقت؟ قري واستقري. It's dark here outside. It's dangerous. Why you are outside of your tent? I want you to go inside, enjoy your time. I'm standing here, I'm protecting you. She said, أخي أبا الفضل خرجت لأحدثك بحديث. I have a story to share with you. I kept this story. I didn't tell you this story so far. You've been my brother for the last 33 years. I didn't get a chance to share this story with you. Do you have time to listen to this story? He said, indeed. بلى حدثيني يا أختاه فقد حلا وقت الحديث. Of course I have time for you. I'd love to listen to this story. Share it with me now. She said, أخي أبا الفضل لما ماتت أمنا فاطمة
when our noble mother Fatima الزهراء died. حزن عليها أبونا أمير المؤمنين حزنا شديدا. Our father was distressed, distraught for a long period of time. He was stressed out. He was confused because of the loss of Fatima. No one could come and replace her. وبعد مدة من الزمن. After many years, he summoned his brother, his sibling عقيل. قال له يا عقيل اخطب لي امرأة ولدتها الفحولة من العرب. I want you to go and find me a lady that belongs to a noble tribe, noble family, a family of magnanimity and chivalry and courage and honesty. وكان عقيل عارفا بأنساب العرب. Aqil was an expert who knows all the Arab families in the area. So Aqil came asking for your mother's hand, Fatima. He asked for her hand for his brother Amir al-Mu'mineen, my father and your father. And then when Aqil asked Amir al-Mu'mineen, وَمَا تَصْنَعُ بِهَا يَا أَمِيرَ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ? Why do you insisting on having a lady that was born and raised in a family of magnanimity and chivalry and courage? He said to him, لِأُرْزَقَ مِنْهَا وَلَدًا أَدَّخِرُهُ لِيَوْمِ الشِّدَّةِ. So God would give me a son from her, of her, that I am going to save him for the day of distress. And then Lady Zainab turned to Abbas alayhi salam. She said, أخي أبا الفضل هذا يومك البنات بناتك والأخوات أخواتك فلا تقصر في نصرة أخيك الحسين. Today is your day. Your father has saved you. This is a long journey that is going to terminate tomorrow. It is your day. You have been preordained, predestined for this day to stand next to your brother, to your master Abi Abdullah al-Hussein. Therefore, on the day of Ashura, Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas could not stand anymore. He used to come to his brother, Akhi Aba Abdullah, إذن لي في القتال. Give me permission, please. He would plead to him. He would beg him to give him permission. But Imam Hussain was reluctant. He said to him, أخي أبا الفضل أنت العلامة من عسكري وحامل لوائي. You are the standard bearer. You are the landmark of my army and my soldiers. If you go away, who is going to keep my army strong? Who is going to defend my camp? Until he insisted on him. Al-Hussein alayhi salam said to him, إن كان لا بد لك من ذلك فاطلب لهؤلاء الأطفال شربة من الماء. Those beleaguered children in the camp, those thirsty children who are crying, Al-Atash, Al-Atash, thirst, thirst. Go and seek some drink for them. So he carried the water container, the skin water container, and he came to the banks of the Euphrates. They surrounded him from every side. He was fighting them with a bravery until he found his way to the bank of the Euphrates. He puts his hand in the river. He takes a handful of water. He brings it next to his mouth to drink. قال الإمام الصادق كان قلب عمي العباس كصالية الجمر من الظما. Inside him, his heart was burning of heat and thirst, like a charcoal. But when he bring the waters to his mouth, تذكر الأطفال والنساء. He remembered the promise he gave to women and children. He decided to throw the water away, and then he filled the skin container and he rushed to the camp to bring them some drink. They surrounded him from every side. Ya mu'mineen, عظم الله لكم الأجر. Tonight is the eve of the departure of his noble mother, Ummul Baneen. Let's have some solidarity with her, some compassion for her. They surrounded him from every direction. They struck him on his right arm. He said, Wallahi in qata'tum yamini inni uhami abadan an dini. If you sever and separate my arm from me, I would continue my path and my journey, defending my religion, my faith, my cause. Wallahi in qata'tum yamini inni uhami abadan an dini. وعن إمام صادق اليقين نجل النبي الطاهر الأمين. I would keep defending my Imam, my master. He's the offspring. He's the grandson of that noble prophet of God. They hit him again on his left arm. عظم الله لكم الأجر. He kept fighting until he was tired. He stood a little bit. One of the arrows came and he pierced that skin container. The water was dispersed. Al-Abbas stood there. He has no arms to fight. He has no water to take to the camp. While he was standing there, Al-Hussein heard his cry, Akhi Aba Abdullah Adrikni. Imam Hussain rushed to him. He found him on the battlefield. قال أخي الآن انكسر ظهري. My backbone has been broken now. وقلت حيلتي وشمت بعدوي. شيخ علي تفضل. نسألك اللهم وندعوك باسمك العظيم الأعظم الأعز الأجل الأكرم يا الله اقض حوائجنا للدنيا والآخرة. تقبل هذا القليل منا ومن الحاضرين وعجل في فرج سيدنا ومولانا صاحب العصر والزمان